Do I hear a motion to approve the 2021-2022 Board of Trustees meeting calendar?
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve the 2021-2022 Board of Trustees calendar as presented by administration.
Thank you, Ms. Henson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. All right. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have some discussion from last time. This is Jada. I just want to hit on a couple things that I mentioned last time. Under these proposed dates, we have 3 meetings in 4 weeks between April and May. And as I mentioned, we spend more time preparing for these additional meetings than we actually do conducting business. If you look at supper, an hour for executive session, printing agendas, preparing the auditorium, preparing for live streaming, costs associated with food, and the school resource officer. So if we're going to meet to approve recommendations or just hear a board report, I believe that could be handled through Zoom. But if we're just adamant about meeting in person, then I feel as if we should fill the agenda up with some much-needed policy revisions, since some of ours are over 30 years old. And looking at a couple of these dates we went over last time. So HR needs the May 10th date to approve recommendations. But our regular board meeting is scheduled on May the 17th. So is anyone opposed to moving the May 17th meeting to May the 10th?
So you mean just combining the two?
Right. And so we know that HR has to have one on May the 10th, but we don't necessarily have to have one on May the 17th.
We also have the budget during that time, and our regular board meeting is on the 3rd of the month by policy, 3rd Tuesday of the month. And that May 10th HR meeting is very critical because that's when the contracts have come back. And so that's just a very important meeting. And as I recall, we have had other presentations at those additional meetings in the spring as well, haven't we, Dr. Little?
I think it just depended. Of course, last year, of course, we were in the middle of the pandemic, and so we were
Right.
we were
Last
doing
year was
that
an
as well.
aberration, right?
And what I would say is I have enjoyed, I guess it's been 3 years now, 4 years now. Prior to that, we were having these called meetings the week prior, and I just know my life with family and work, it's hard to schedule a meeting even a week or 2 weeks in advance. And I don't want to speak to the other members of the board, but I've enjoyed scheduling 2, and then if we don't need it, we cancel it.
That's right. That's what we've done. That is what we've done in the past. You know, we have it scheduled. If it didn't seem to be needed, we just canceled it, so.
But I think we may have canceled one, but it's because a couple of board members had planned a trip to Washington. I know that was one of them. There may have been another one we canceled for another reason, but I don't think a reason we've ever canceled an additional meeting has been because we just said, hey, we have this additional meeting that we put in the schedule, let's not use it. So I guess the question here for administration would be this May the 17th meeting. I mean, is there something going on here that we absolutely have to have this meeting on May the 17th and it couldn't be moved to May the 10th?
That one is, the board chair said, that would be the 3rd Tuesday, so that would be dictated by policy.
Right, so on April the 26th, we have moved that from the 3rd Tuesday to the 4th Tuesday for the budget. So
Correct.
that's why we're having a discussion, is so that if we need to move dates, we can. So I'm just wondering, is there a reason we can't?
So just in general, Ms. Garris, that May 17th, having a gap between the first reading and the second reading of at least that a 3-week period, I guess that would be, gives the board and administration more time to work on and make adjustments to a second reading budget. So moving it to the 10th would really constrict what you could change between first and second reading. And potentially there could be a fair amount of change during that time frame. So that's typically why we've kept that second reading out at that 3rd Tuesday in May, just as information.
Okay.
Ms. Garris, maybe what I may be reading into this, but I think what you're kind of hitting on is active versus passive management of your calendar. And that passively, if we just set these in motion and never look at them again, we just fill them up for the sake of filling them up. Whereas opposed to active being, yes, we have put these placeholders in place, but as we look through the business of the school district and look through the business that needs to occur, if there's a reason to not do it, well, then why do it? And I think maybe what you're hitting on is that we manage our calendar more passively than we do actively. I would agree that you don't meet for the sake of meeting. I think if it is a procedural kind of vote that would, significantly impact HR, then yes, I think it needs to occur. Do I think it can occur virtually? Absolutely. To me, that's probably part and parcel to the actual schedule. So I don't have a problem putting a passive calendar together as long as we actively manage it throughout the year. And I think that kind of falls the responsibility of all of us, quite frankly. I certainly agree that we can have a very active management of the calendar.
So you gonna help me actively manage this calendar?
I will support Chair Emery Green in actively managing the calendar.
Well, and I think that would go to, as we move through the spring, because, we have all learned over the last few months that we can say something now and then it'll be different on Friday or next Tuesday. And that maybe what we do as we move into the spring is we evaluate at the March meeting, looking at, we'll see clearer into April and May, talking with administration, what do these agendas look like? What do these meetings look like? And take that active management role. Personally, I think that the HR meeting, one of the most important things we do is approve certified vacancies.
Yes.
And especially with this employment crunch and teacher shortage, and if, we got to grab these folks up as quickly as we can. So if
We need
we've got to
adults
make
in the
room in our
classroom.
schedules to come and do that, I think that that's a priority. But yeah, I'm all for active calendar management, but I think that's kind of something that we do as a team, so. Okay. Any other
And
conversation?
we don't need to be in adherence from any of the certified or administrative positions securing them. So that's the other thing, again, because we'll lose people if the leadership team can't get to us, Dr. Little can't get to us.
Right.
There's no reason also, if that ever comes up, that we could not meet through Zoom as we have in the past. If there's something that needs our approval right away.
But we haven't had a meeting where we all met through Zoom. We had a meeting where a few folks came in through Zoom, but we still had all the resources here and several board members were present. We just had some that, in the interest of social distancing, chose not to attend. So we've never had a fully Zoom board meeting. So that would be new. Okay. Any other discussion, board?
So can this be something we put on the agenda for later, when we get closer to these meetings? Like in September, we have two, the 7th and the 21st.
Just reevaluating the need for
Right,
those meetings?
reevaluating the
Sure, we
dates.
can put a placeholder out for there. I think that's a good idea.
But what you're saying, just to say it back so I understand, is that we would approve these as is, but then what we would do is closer to, at the end of the summer, it wouldn't be me after all, but at the end of the summer, you would reevaluate what you would need in September, correct?
Correct.
That's right. Okay. Anything else? Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the 2021-2022 Board of Trustees meeting calendar. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the motion carries.